Placed in Shelter with your host, Ryan Catarozoli. And today I've got a bit of a special announcement for you. When this whole quarantine thing started, nobody really knew what was going to happen or how long we were going to be here. And so we all started brainstorming and trying to come up with different ideas. And this is obviously my idea that's grown. And thanks to everybody here who's been attending every single day and giving me the ability to do this. But we took personality tests to see if, everybody would fit well together at work. And it turns out in a sea full of blue and green, if you've ever taken one of these, I turned out to be an orange, which sticks out kind of like a sore thumb. And I'm not talking about a moderate orange. I'm like a bright orange. And I think it's just undiagnosed functional ADD. But the thought of sitting in an office and doing nothing that's painful. Some people think traveling a lot for work is daunting, but to me, that's heaven, and being stuck in an office is difficult. So as we started putting this together, I knew I wanted to do a couple of things. Number one, I wanted to talk to people because let's face it, that's what I do. And then number two, I wanted to put out content that was not only valuable, that was a little bit lighthearted, something that was fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed tuning in. It hasn't been a dread like, oh boy, here we go. We got to listen to Ryan again. So I knew I wanted to accomplish those things. But one of the things that I never thought of was, how does this end? Where do we go? And at first I thought I can put out content forever. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I've gone through my catalog so many times now, I don't think there's a single product that we've missed. And I value your time. So I am actually going to go for episode number 50. Today is 44, so we're looking at one more week. I have some really cool interviews set up for next week. I've got a couple of great episodes that still have Hatco content. But after that, because I value your time, I don't have enough content to put out. So we are going to sunset season 1 here at Placed in Shelter. And who knows, maybe we'll release it again under a different title, or maybe you guys have some ideas for us. Maybe we move it to once a week with a nice interview or something on a Friday. But I wanted to let you know, we're going to have one more week, and episode 50 will be the last one. So some of you are going, whew, thank goodness. But hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I've brought to you some value and some good content. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick off today's episode. And today's episode, we're going to call Back of the House. So we spent a ton of time here on Placed in Shelter talking about all the different things we can offer for reopenings and shields and different humidified cabinets and air curtains. And almost all of those are really considered front of the house pieces. They're decorative. They provide good merchandising for the customer. But we do have a segment of back of the house equipment that has value. It has great value. One of the options that we have is a humidified cabinet. And what makes this so different from, for example, an FSD, FSDT, which would be our merchandising type cabinets, they've got all glass on either side. They've got some graphics so that you can put your merchandising on there, and they really bolster the product, and it makes it very welcoming for customers to come in. Now, these particular units don't do the same thing. However, they do have a few advantages. And number one, because we don't have any glass, we're able to insulate it on all sides so that you're going to get a more efficient unit. And then therefore, we don't have the same systems with the down duct. So what you're looking at here is basically 4 different model numbers with a few different options in each model number. So first off, you have a 6, which you can see is a 6-shelf unit. You also have a 7-shelf unit. We have a 12, and we have a 17. Now the guts and everything on the inside of these remain the same. You're going to have a fully insulated cabinet, and you're going to have a fan and a heating element in the bottom. And because it's so insulated, we can utilize that natural rising of hot air so that we get even temperatures from top to bottom. In order to get humidity, we use a very basic but very efficient system, which is essentially a hotel pan that's placed above a heating element. Now there's a splash baffle and a guard that goes over those heating elements, so you aren't going to be able to touch them. But through manually filling that reservoir pan and then controlling the dial for your humidity, you can actually adjust the humidity in these units. The only reason we have different sizes is, well, let's face it, that's what customers have asked for. In fact, there's kind of an interesting story here on this 12-shelf unit. And the story goes that in the back of a cafeteria, especially if you have a larger kitchen space. A lot of times these cabinets would go in the middle of the kitchen and they would create essentially a wall. And we've actually found that if you're not tall enough, it's rather difficult to talk back and forth over them. And the request was to still get a good amount of volume, but to be able to see over the top of them. So this particular unit here is a 12, and it was designed with that in mind. So you can have this in the middle of a kitchen, still get good volume out of it, but at the same time be able to see over the top of it and speak to the other people that are working with you. Now, we have a lot of different options that you can do. You have glass doors, which are Lexan doors. You also have the option for stainless steel doors. Now, on the 17 unit, you can also do split doors, or what we call Dutch doors. So that's what you'll see as the letter D at the end of the model number. That will be the Dutch doors. The number 1 or 2, like we've gone over in other programs or other episodes, just tells you how many doors you have. The other cool thing with the 17 is you can also get a transport package with that. And on the transport package, you're also getting handles. You're getting a 360-degree bumper around the bottom, heavy-duty casters, as well as a flush-mounted door latch. And here's a pro tip: don't try to yank that door open without lifting the latch up, because you will look silly, and I've done it. So there is a latch that you can see right here that has to be lifted up. And the primary focus of that is so that the door does not open up if you are pushing it to another location and accidentally bump into something. You wouldn't want those pans pushing the door open and then falling all over the place. Now, we also have 2 special units that look very, very similar, but they are different. And that is going to be the 5 W1EE as well as the 7 EE. Now, what do you think the EE stands for? It's energy efficiency. So these ones are completely designed so that they are Energy Star rated and they are energy efficient. And because of that, we actually have some extra insulation, and we're able to control the temperature inside even more accurately than we do with the other units. This can be between 80 degrees and 200 degrees. Now, the 80 degrees is really an important number because, coming from the bakery world, a lot of you will know, you want to proof bread between 80 and usually 105 degrees with a good amount of humidity. Because of the energy efficiency on these and how well insulated they are, they can be utilized as a proofer as well for certain bread products. Sometimes, if you look at things like croissants, they need to be proofed at below 80 degrees so that the butter does not melt out of them. So you will be right on the borderline there with that product, but for the majority of bread products, you should be able to proof without a problem. Now, again, coming from the bakery world, I don't know if I would necessarily purchase it strictly as a proofing cabinet, but I think it is a versatile option that also becomes a holding cabinet and gives you the ability to do some proofing is the best application for this. You can see here with the 7 shelf, it is the exact same thing. Now, one other thing I have to point out, if you look at the other units, they do have the option for a stainless steel door. Don't be confused and think that the stainless steel door is the only thing that gives them the Energy Star rating. That is not the case. So you cannot take a 12 and put a stainless steel door on it and make it energy efficient. Now, it's energy efficient, but it is not Energy Star rated, if that makes sense. So with that, that's going to wrap up today's episode. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. If anybody has any questions on our back of the house holding cabinets, now would be the time to open up the chat box. Go ahead and enter in your question there. Let's see here, Matt. Let's see, so do your parents allow you to swim from 3 to 3:15? No. I usually have to wait until after I'm done eating, at least a half an hour. Debbie, it is humid out today. It's very humid out today, but that's pretty much what Wisconsin is. One of those things people don't realize about Wisconsin is that the summers can be extremely hot because of that humidity. So there was times I can remember playing baseball, softball, and you'd be outside and almost feel like you were in the rainforest. You know, you hit a ball that you can normally hit 350 feet, and that thing goes 210 feet in the air because it just felt like a pillow. So it's very, very warm. What chains are these units in? I don't have any specific chains that I can call out. Basically, like I said, this is a back of the house unit. It is very, very energy efficient. It does a great job for holding cabinets. There are several chains that are using them. I just don't have them off the top of my head. What was the personality test? Orange. Yeah, there was 2 different ones. You know, there's the PI, where it tells you the 4 different letters, the A, B, C, and D, I believe it is. You can probably figure out I'm a high A, B, low C, low D. But then there was also one where they assigned you colors. And we found out that there's a lot of blues and greens, and there's very few oranges. So I'm a little different. A lot of energy over here. Maybe CSP will buy the rights to Placed in Shelter like SGN or CBS. That would be awesome, Charlie. But then again, I don't know. I'd have to come up with some new content. So, well, if there's no other questions, I owe you some memes from yesterday. Oh, here we go. How many Energy Star units do you have? It is just the 5 and the 7. And you can tell which model numbers are Energy Star rated because they will have an EE in the model number. We call it out pretty regularly. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen again. And our first meme of the day, does anyone know if we can take showers yet, or should we just keep washing our hands? The news hasn't told me, so I've just been washing my hands. And last but not least, I'm not adding this year to my age because I didn't really use it. I thought that was a good one too. So thank you again for attending today. Good special announcement in the beginning. I'm happy to have another week with you guys. Finalize it with a big 50th episode bash. Again, I've got 2 great interviews set up for next week. If you are joining us on YouTube and would like to be a part of the conversation, you can always hit the link in the description below. And if you are subscribed to Hatco, use the bell notification. That'll let you it will notify you every single time a video goes live. And show us you're enjoying the content by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thanks everyone, and have a great weekend. I know I will.